My name is Khadija, and I'm here today to talk about the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act, or TOPA, a law that many D.C. residents have never heard of, even though it directly affects their rights to stay in their homes. Today I'm going to tell you a story that connects the past to the present. It's a story about power, who gets to decide who lives where in our city, and about what we can do about it. The anti-wars, the anti-rent wars. In 1839, the Hudson Valley of New York, tenant farmers lived on land owned by wealthy landowners called the patroons. These farmers had worked the same land for generations, but they did not own it. The owners charged them rents that could barely afford and treated them like subjects, not citizens. In response, these farmers, ordinary people like you and me, decided they would rebel. They called themselves the anti-rent movement, and they fought back against a system that kept them poor and powerless. What historian Howard Zinn calls the other Civil War was happening during this time. Not just a conflict between North and South, but a deeper crisis, a deeper class conflict between rich and poor, between landlords and tenants. Why does this matter today? Because the same struggle is happening in Washington, D.C. right now. In 2025, over 82,000 D.C. residents are living in housing insecurity. They pay more than half of their income to rent. They live in fear that their landlord will sell their building. They'll be displaced, and they'll have nowhere to go. In 1980, D.C. passed the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act, TOPA. The law says, if your landlord wants to sell the building you live in, you get to buy it first. Not your landlord's investors, not a developer, you, the tenant. On paper, TOPA sounds wonderful, but in practice, it has fallen short. There are three major barriers, and the first is financing. Most tenants don't have $500,000 to $1 million to buy a building. Banks won't lend to community groups without a proven track record. Even with technical assistance, securing financing is nearly impossible. Number two, this is the second barrier. TOPA gives tenants only 90 to 120 days to secure financing and organize. For many buildings, that's not enough time. Meanwhile, outside investors have unlimited resources and connections. And the third barrier, transparency and accountability. Many landlords and nonprofit housing providers don't allow TOPA rules and don't explain them clearly to tenants. Some nonprofits take TOPA buildings, but don't keep rents affordable. Nonprofit status doesn't automatically mean affordable rents. When TOPA fails, tenants lose their homes. When tenants lose their homes, Black and brown communities get pushed out of D.C. When communities get pushed out, we lose the culture and the institutions that family networks hold our cities together. Now, what can we do? I believe D.C. needs a $50 million fund to help tenant groups buy their buildings. This is not a handout. It's an investment in keeping D.C. residents in their homes and preventing displacement. Number two, enforce accountability. D.C. needs to crack down on landlords and nonprofits who ignore TOPA. The D.C. Office of Tenant Advocate needs resources to enforce the law and educate tenants about their rights. Number three, we need to strengthen TOPA. D.C. needs to extend the purchase timeline, clarify what counts as a sale, and require a landlord to provide real technical assistance, not just paperwork. History shows us that ordinary people, tenant farmers in the Hudson Valley, families in D.C. today, don't win rights because they're handed down from above. They win rights because they fight for them, organize for them, demand them. The anti-rent wars were not won in a day, but they showed that people can push back against systems designed to keep them powerless. You can do the same thing right now in this city for this law. Contact the D.C. Office of Tenant Advocates, join your tenant organization, go to your council member, and demand that TOPA is strengthened and funded. Make yourself heard Make your voice heard. Because housing is not a luxury. It's a human right. And every DC resident deserves to have a say in whether they get to stay in their homes. In the early 2010s, residents of Lincoln Westmoreland 2, now in Heritage at Shaw Station, began organizing after the owners opted out of the Section 8 contract and signaled plans to capitalize on rising property values in Shaw. With support from organizers, tenants strengthened their tenant association, recruited new members, and used leadership development and direct action to demand a voice in decisions about the building's future. Over time, this organized positioned the Tenant Association to be ready when a sale triggered DC's Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. In 2024, the Heritage of Shaw Tenants Association exercised its TOPA rights by partnering with Lincoln Westmoreland Housing, a mission-driven nonprofit, to acquire 801 811 R Street. Through this successful TOPA assignment and acquisition, tenants help secure long-term affordability and improvements to the 71-unit property while remaining in their neighborhood.